Going on, and welcome to episode 451 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. We are back. We're doing a regular show tonight because of all the free agency stuff that we've had and a bunch of trades. So we're going to put our rookies on hold for a little while. So we're going to talk. We got it loaded up in the wheel, and we'll be talking about all the moves, as many as we can get to tonight over the last couple of weeks. Let's go ahead and get to the show.
Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in, and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
All right, what is up? And welcome to episode 451 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. If you are watching us on YouTube or Twitch or any of those networks, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for us and visit us over at goingfor2.com to see all of our content. I'm here with my co-hosts. Both of them are here tonight. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, man, just living the roller coaster, man.
Yeah.
That is free agency. And ha, Raiders fans, and ha, Gerson.
Love it. Shots fired already. Chew, what's up, man?
What's up? Just basking in the defensive spending that is Carolina Panthers right now.
Yeah,
dude, that's the best kind of spending. don't let these fantasy analysts tell you different.
That's right.
For sure. And then there's my team that's barely done anything so far. I think my first big move was today. We traded a third-round pick for a defensive tackle that I hadn't even heard of until today. So,
wow, the disrespect to future Hall of Famer Michael Evans.
Yes. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Wow, Jeff. That's you pay him $27 million receiver isn't a big deal.
Yeah, and all the jokes that went on Twitter too about the electrical substation and Mike Evans. I mean, it was like rampant.
I've been living for those.
Yeah,
they were the best things to happen until the Max Crosby deal.
Yeah,
went back. And the hilarity on Twitter. It's been great free agency.
Yeah, I've seen all of them. All my friends have sent me every single one of those TikToks that came through about Mike Evans and his hamstring injuries and over the years and what's going to happen now that he's a 49er. I guess we'll see. Maybe it'll have the opposite effect. Maybe he'll become superhuman and be able to play for 5 years and be elite.
Those that battery plant or whatever it is going to heal him.
Yeah,
they're going to reverse the frequency and they're going to turn into superheroes.
For sure, that's what I'm hoping happens. All right, as I mentioned at the top, we're going to have a shorter show than usual. We're not going to do most of our segments. We're just going to jump right into the roulette wheel, and we'll do a bunch of the free agencies / trades that have happened over the last couple of weeks and talk about the fantasy reaction of it. So let's go ahead and get to it.
Let's get ready for Armchair Fantasy Roulette.
All right, let's bring up the wheel. There we go. All right, and I'll go ahead and hit it, and we'll get our first topic on the board here. All right, speaking of Max Crosby and that whole thing, Ryan, we'll go to you first. Ravens and Trey Henderson agreed to a 4-year, $112 million contract. Of course, mixed into that is the fact that they failed Max Crosby on his physical, getting their first-round picks back from the Raiders and sending Max Crosby back to Las Vegas. Give us your thoughts on all of this. I know you've been on Twitter trolling some Raiders fans over the last few days.
I mean, we're going to trust a team to disclose information who is now ran by the person who was a big part of Deflategate and Spygate. Okay. But It worked out for the Ravens. I don't know if there's foul play or not. I think it was a little bit of both on both sides. I think the Raiders didn't disclose everything, and I think they got rid of the deal because something better popped up. It just kind of worked out. It's a good pickup. I'm really happy with it personally, and I'd rather have Hendrickson and 2 firsts than just Crosby.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's
Like
on a cheaper
Crosby, yes, Crosby's a better player, but Hendrickson still is really damn good pass rusher. So I'm excited to see him in that Jesse Minter defense.
Yeah, agreed. Chew, I know this isn't really fantasy related unless you play defenses, but give me your thoughts on this whole debacle with Max Crosby and now the Ravens getting Trey Henderson.
Well, in some bizarre scenario where the plan was actually to have both Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson as bookends of that defensive line, which would have been incredible and fantastic, and obviously very expensive. But I know there was kind of talk that league sources saying that this was kind of the shitty thing to do of could this maybe affect how other teams deal with the Ravens going forward?
It won't.
Maybe, but in a way, they did it to the Raiders, and I don't really know who's gonna be like, we need to support the Raiders.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I don't really. It's not like they did it to another storied franchise. With all due respect to the Raiders, so
No respect.
so I think it's gonna be okay. Because again, if anything, other teams would look at it and say, "Oh, that's a good point. Maybe I need to remember that it'll take some balls, but maybe I can do that next year if I need to."
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I think I saw
And
it's not just players that can change their mind during this tampering period. It's the teams too, and they can have some buyer's remorse essentially, and you know what? Maybe we'll just get Hendrickson and send Max Crosby back to the Raiders.
Dallas was right there in the deals, and I think the Bears were too, or something like that. Yet neither of these teams have even. There's not even rumors about them making trades.
Yeah, you would think if they were that close, they'd be like, okay, here's the deal that we
And
all had on the table. Let's get it done.
and if everybody had the same information, the deal would be done by somebody else.
Yep,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
agreed. All right, let's get our next topic here. All right, this is a minor one, but could be important for your Bucky Irving shares. Running back Kenny Gainwell to the Bucks for 2 years and 14 million. And Gainwell, everywhere he's been a thorn in the side of whatever running backs in front of him. Obviously, he was last year in Pittsburgh. He had Jalen Warren, and now he gets to go to the Bucks, where they're probably going to lose Rashad White, but Irving won't get the full workload once again because Kenny Gainwell is there. We'll go to you first, Chew, on this one. What are your thoughts on this move here, and how does it affect Irving's status, you think?
I mean, it's a really savvy move by the Bucks. I think Gainwell really put on some good tape in Pittsburgh of what he could do alongside Jalen Warren, which I don't think any of us are saying that Jalen Warren is a clear bell cow and Gainwell's leveled up got up to his level. But I mean, Gainwell can do a bit of everything. He's not strictly just a third down back. I know he is a bit smaller, but he plays tremendously powerfully for his size. And I think going into this offense, if they're losing Rashad White, I thought I saw that the Bucks kind of late tendered Sean Tucker. I don't know if that was true or not, or
Yeah.
so that's interesting that I think at the time they hadn't done that. So they had signed Gainwell, and I thought it was just going to be Bucky and Gainwell, but Bucky missed not quite half the season last year, but it felt like half the season.
Yeah.
And, one of the best abilities is availability. I don't remember the last time that Kenny Gainwell was missing any big stretch of time. So I think they know the importance of when they had Rashad White and Sean Tucker. They need someone in there that can do a little bit of everything. I mean, Gainwell is that. It's not too pricey, but a little bit more than I thought. But I mean, the cap goes up, then so does everybody's salary. So
Yep, exactly. Yep, and Gainwell, fills that Rashad White role because he was sort of the pass catcher anyway, and he jumps into that role there. Ryan, what do you think about Gainwell, and do you think he would have any standalone value in this offense?
I think he has a little flex two maybe.
Yeah, like
I
by
think he's just literally the same role. He steps into Rashad White's role as the change of pace back, some receiving. Bucky does a little bit of everything, but Bucky's also 195 pounds and he's not a 25 carry game back. You want him under 200 carries in a season.
For
Like, this is not enough. If you like Bucky Irving before, treat him the same now. I don't know if Gainwell's going to have as big of a role there as he did in Pittsburgh because of the receiving threats and having an actual, functional quarterback who's not listening to dolphin videos. But I think it's a good move for him. I think if Bucky misses a game or two, he's a really nice standalone value, so he's worth having.
Absolutely, yeah. In PPR leagues, he could definitely be a monster as well. I mean, we saw his receiving chops. I think he had probably one of the top 5 catches of the season last year in that deep ball from Aaron Rodgers that he caught literally off the turf. So obviously, he has to be the receiver.
They had 91 passes to running backs last year.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, and trade for Bucky Irving now. Make offers of Bucky Irving because people are going to be scared.
Yep, agreed. All right, let's get our next topic here. All right, this one is a rumor that I don't believe has happened yet. It's been almost reported as it's fact, but I don't think it's officially happened yet. That the Atlanta Falcons are the favorite to sign Tua Tagovailoa. What does that say about their quarterback situation there, Ryan? Do you think Tua comes in there as a backup? Do you think he's pegged to be a potential starter? Is it a competition? Like what's going on with the Falcons here?
Well, I don't know if Penix was supposed to be healthy by the beginning of the year because he got injured late.
Fair point. He did get injured pretty late.
And they want to be able to compete, and I think it's going to be a competition. I mean, if he's not there as a young quarterback through camp, misses a few games, and Tua is clicking, why would you pull Tua?
Absolutely.
I mean, either way, neither one of them has finished their season in years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key point there, right? Is Tua, can he remain healthy? It's been his mantra his entire career. I'm gonna throw it to you, Chu. What do you think? Let's just give you this fake scenario here. Tua is, maybe not lighting it up, but playing really well. The Falcons are playing well, and then Penix is fully healthy. Can the Falcons go to Penix at that point, or do they got to stay with Tua?
Well, as a division rival, I hate to think that they're doing well, but I feel like with this offense, the weapons that are going to be at his disposal, and that defense improving, and again, them playing in a terrible division, I can see a pretty clear path where Tua does pretty well, and again, also playing in the dome and not in the cold elements where he crumbles. So I really think it would be a mistake if just the knee-jerk reaction is Penix is healthy, we should just go to him regardless. Because, I mean, to be honest, I don't think that either one of these guys has shown anything that just says, I deserve the job no matter, like, the circumstances. Let me start, and then no matter who is healthy, it's just there's not enough there for either of these guys. Again, more for Tua and less injury history, although kind of not. It's just kind of weird how both of these guys seem pretty fragile at this point. But I think if you're getting the best out of Tua, he's got a dirt cheap contract. And if this is his tryout, he's only 28. Again, Penix is he's what, 2 years younger than Tua. So it's kind of funny with how many years Tua's been in the league too. So, worst case, you have 2 good quarterbacks and Penix is still on his rookie deal. So wait it out.
Yeah, I think if you look at highs and lows, right? I mean, Tua's highs were pretty high when he was playing really well and that offense was clicking. I mean, they were one of the best offenses in the NFL. I think they put up.
Yeah, but that was also Tyreek Hill and
Fair, and they don't have that on the Falcons. Now they do have some good weapons. They got Drake London, of course, Bijan Robinson. There's some weapons there.
David Sills,
and that's what I was gonna. I was gonna pass it to you, Ryan, and talk about the pieces there. What does that mean for the Drake Londons and the Bijan Robinsons of the world?
I mean, I like it more. Like, I'm more confident with him in there than other backups they've had. With Kirk Cousins was there last year. So I feel okay about it. Like, he can get the ball to Drake London. He can get the ball to Kyle Pitts. I think they're kind of, however you viewed them, similar no matter who's the quarterback. Obviously, you want Penix in there because he can push it a little bit better. But it's as good of a backup situation as you can get, or starter, however you want to view it.
Yeah, I think one thing too that I'm excited about, if you're a Bijan Robinson owner, if you looked at any of the advanced analytics with Achan with the Dolphins, whenever Tua played, Achan averaged like 7 or 8 targets a game, and now that Tyler Algier is no longer in the picture, Bijan Robinson is going to be the check down guy for Tua. I mean, he could have he had a monster season last year. It could be even bigger this
year. He might be the 101 this year.
year. Yeah, especially with if Tua is the starter, I think he might be. All right, let's go ahead and get our next topic up here on the board. All right, this one was a speculation that we were, as owners of Brian Thomas Jr., we were almost hoping that this might have happened, but the speculation was that the Jaguars might be interested in trading Brian Thomas Jr. Apparently, that is now dead in the water. I'll go to you first on this one, Ryan. First of all, do you actually believe it's dead in the water, or do you think that the Jags might still be trying to shop him? And do you think he can have a bounce back season if he was to stay in Jacksonville after his rookie season was such a good year?
So I feel like last year was just weird because his rookie season, he was elite. Everybody was crowning him the next top 5 or higher receiver. The talent's obviously there. I think they really just tried to force the issue with Travis Hunter last year and kind of try to prove themselves smarter than the rest. I think they want more. The reason they're saying he's not available is they're not going to the offer they want. Like, I believe they probably want a first for him. And no team's going to offer that after last season when he was having tons of drops and just not producing. So I don't think he's off the table, but I think they want too much.
Yeah.
And as we all have those players like that. Oh, I'd love to trade this guy, but you won't trade him for cheap. That's where they are here.
Yep, 100% agree. It's just like fantasy football. If you're not trading him for the discount that he should be getting, then we're not trading him, and you end up having to hold him anyway. Chu, what are your thoughts on BTJ here? And do you think, I kind of talked about it a little bit last offseason that he was actually better with Mac Jones in there the year before his rookie year than he was with Trevor Lawrence. And we kind of saw that happen, for a full season where Lawrence was not, as confident in him. Do you think that could change with another offseason under the belt?
Maybe. I feel like he was used to one offensive system with what he was doing in his rookie season. And like you're saying, it was a different quarterback, which, at a minimum, I think a full off season, him healthy, Lawrence healthy, everybody kind of clicking, I think would do him at least some bit of good. But I mean, even seeing somebody like Parker Washington rose to prominence, it wasn't exclusively because of injuries in that wide receiver room. I think it was he worked really well in that system. And that does hurt BTJ in the sense of, I mean, there's only so many targets to go around, but I feel like with his skill set, he doesn't have to be a really heavy target volume guy, but he's someone who can create big plays. They just didn't quite fall his way last season. Again, the drops, some of those issues, I think a little bit of injury in the middle of the year. So, I think next year looks better than there was really a sophomore slump. I think the third year is going to be better, but I mean, of course they want to trade him. Like if they can, like the fact that it keeps going back and forth of like, we do, we don't, we do, we don't. You do if you get the right deal. If you don't, then you want to keep him and you never try to trade him at all.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
when there's smoke, there's fire. When there's reports multiple places about them potentially trading it, someone's talking over there. So I agree. I think they were looking to shop him around. I do like, if you're a BTJ owner, I do like that they've come out and said that Travis Hunter will be playing more DB this year than he did receiver when he comes back. So that might help BTJ as well. Maybe him and Parker Washington are getting most of the targets there. So I still have hope for him. I have him on my dynasty roster, and I'm holding on to him. I'm not trading him.
Oh, yeah. You can't trade him alone.
Yep.
Just can't.
Agreed. All right. Back to the wheel. Well, if I can get the wheel to work, there we go. Oh, I had to hit it again. It's a little bit behind. I get a delay here. All right, there we go. So Packers, Romeo Doubs has reached an agreement with the Patriots. Obviously they're kind of trying to replace Stephon Diggs, who had a hot middle of the season, then kind of fell off a cliff towards the end of the season with all his legal troubles and everything else. They finally just cut bait. Romeo Doubs comes in here now. Probably going to be the number one receiver, I would think there. I know that they have some young guys that maybe can step up, but I think they signed him to be the number one receiver there. What do you think of Dobbs in this offense, Chew?
Man, Dobbs is saying, thank God. He's been in the mix with they don't have a 1 in Green Bay, but they have a 2A, 2B, 2C, and he finally enters a room where, Matt Collins has a role. Demario Douglas has a role. Like, you have these guys that have pretty defined roles, and I think Dobbs can come in and, he's the clear-cut one? I don't know about that, but I do think that with how they operated last year, they didn't really need one necessarily, just kind of it was kind of just the flow of the game, who got the ball enough. But I do think that he offers them something that is with Diggs out, they'd be missing. And I do think he's someone who we saw in Green Bay at least a couple of games. He can kind of take over a game. And I think with how good the offense has been becoming and how good the defense is also, even with a tougher schedule now, because I know the big complaint last year against Drake May for MVP was that they had such a cake schedule. It'll be tougher this year, but I do think he helps May in now he's a couple years into the NFL. I think he's got a bit of experience, especially in the playoffs now too. So, I think it'll do well for Dobbs, and I think he should be a sneaky top 20 wide receiver.
Yeah, I think he kind of becomes, hopefully the chemistry is there. He becomes the go-to for Drake May, which, other than those few games that Diggs was kind of doing really, really well, he didn't have a real go-to. It was sort of like a different guy every week. It was a tight end some weeks it was the running backs. You saw it in the Super Bowl too, that, when they were draped and recovered, none of the receivers couldn't get open. But there was just nobody opened. And I think Dobbs has the ability to get open. He's a good red zone target as well. So I think he definitely helps Drake May's value. I think his value also goes up in this offense as well. What are your thoughts, Ryan, on Dobbs there with the Patriots?
So I've never been a Dobbs guy, like just in general. I think he's a fine player. I don't think he's a wide receiver. I probably view him in like that wide receiver 30 range. So a little bit lower than you two on this case. Like if we picture him getting similar targets to Stephon Diggs, is that fair?
Yeah,
Do you think he'll force more?
I think
Diggs had 102 last year.
I think he can get more.
I think he can get more because I think Diggs kind of fell off towards the end of the season. I think if Diggs had been able to stay on that hot streak, with the targets, I think Dobbs can maintain that. I think.
But the questions are: one, is he wide receiver, true wide receiver one? And if he is, why did they keep trying to replace him in Green Bay?
That's good. Good points for sure.
Two, the thing that made Drake May special, you kind of touched on, is he's so good at making the right decision and spreading the ball around. He had 7 players with over 37 targets. Like that's a lot of guys getting action, and they're almost all still there.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just you're replacing Diggs with Dobbs. I think he could be. I think he can produce a little bit better than Diggs in the touchdown department, yardage wise, and maybe you could get him at 1,100 and 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns would be awesome. And that would put him in that wide receiver 2 range. But right now, just the way they spread the ball around, I view him as wide receiver 3. But I think it helps Drake May the most.
Yeah, I agree. I think it does give him a little bit. I think Dobbs is better getting open than the receivers they have currently on their roster, and I think that could end up being his go-to, sort of his bailout. Like, okay, Dobbs is going to beat his man, and I'll be able to find him on most of those plays.
I think he also helps the running backs out a lot because he's going to force the defense back a little bit. And I think that opens up holes because there's not really that big play threat with Diggs at his age.
Yeah, agreed. He was more of an underneath kind of guy. Yep, agreed. All right, back to the wheel. All right, so this one's about Malik Willis. He has now signed with the Dolphins, essentially replacing Tua Tagovailoa. In limited time last year, Ryan, Malik Willis actually looked pretty good. I know he was kind of poo-pooed a little bit, but last year he took over for Jordan Love at one point and won some games for them. Now he goes to the Dolphins in sort of a rebuild, but he's got the full reins there as far as we know, right?
Yeah, so obviously his job, and they paid him as it should be. But he was how high can we really view him? Like we kind of on my other show last night, we kind of went through the ADP, And like we're like, who would you rather have, Willis or them? And we're in like the 27 range for him
Yeah, that's fair.
because you're coming into a bad offensive line. Your wide receivers are terrible. Like Waddle's good, but is he a one? He's just, a boomer bust. Cedric Wilson and Malik Washington's not what I'm excited for. Old Darren Waller, you have a good running back. Like, there's not a lot of like there. There's not a lot of help for your young QB. And in Green Bay, he had all these weapons.
Yeah.
Like where we talked about, Romeo Dobbs was fighting for balls because there were so many good pass catchers there. He's going from a great situation to just terrible.
Do you think there's a possibility that he can have sort of a Justin Fields type season where it's just he's getting his fancy points on his legs alone, where he's just not throwing the ball a lot, but just running it constantly and getting his fancy points that way?
I mean, dude, Fields is a runner, though.
Yeah. It's,
Like, there's a big difference. Like, he really doesn't have much rushing. I mean, yeah, he has 123 rushing yards in 4 games last year and 138 and 7 that he played the year before. He's not a huge rusher like that.
yeah, he's more just mobile, but not really a take it off and run it like Justin Fields would. One read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's there.
Good point. What are your thoughts, Chew, on Malik Willis here?
Well, it kind of entering free agency, it seemed like the worst kept secret with, the Dolphins kind of accumulating, Green Bay coach and GM, all that kind of stuff. So the assumption was they'd at least be in the running for it. And I think it's always the weird thing of the small sample size quarterback getting the deal. I think with the Matt Flynn deal back in the day that ultimately he lost his job to Russell Wilson. But I think this one makes enough sense, at least for the Dolphins. They really needed a reset. And I know it's kind of funny thinking of like, all right, well, they can reset, take all this dead cap from Tua. Now he's going to go play for the Falcons, which is ultimately a better situation for Tua at this moment. But, Malik Willis, like, for better or for worse, I do think maybe not revitalized his career necessarily in Green Bay. But I think he did enough right in the games that we saw him in to where, yeah, he's not a Justin Fields rusher, but I think he's a kind of a creative rusher in terms of like when he needs to, he will use it. But he is someone who wants to pass, who wants to win with his arm. And from what I remember, like, because where he played college ball at Liberty's not even an hour here from where I live. I remember watching like the tape and everything. And I'm like, he's doing so much unnecessary stuff that looks kind of cool. But when you put it in an NFL uniform, it's pick city. And then he goes to the Titans. At the time, not a tremendous situation. It's looking maybe up, I think, for Cam Ward now. So now he goes to, again, a rough O-line, like everything, like Ryan was saying, not as many weapons as I think he would like to have. But I mean, worst case, he feeds Waddle enough. I do like Malik Washington, but that's just a bias of liking him in college in his final year. But, I think he'll do okay. I think his top is like back end QB 20s. Or sorry, back end like QB 20 like is his top. But like you were saying, QB 27, like when you start naming people, it's kind of tough to really put him over too many people.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's get our next topic here. Let's see if we can get one of the big names that moves.
You're saying?
Nope, not another
big name.
This is another restructured deal with Aaron Jones.
Business as usual.
Yeah.
Up if he gets up when he gets Kyler.
Yeah, I think they just basically have him there for the veteran presence, right? I mean, there's not really much fancy impact there.
I mean, he produced enough last year; like he wasn't useless.
Yeah,
like he's a low end RB2 flex option.
Yeah,
it's funny. I thought he was going to go back to Green Bay, so it's funny he just goes back to Minnesota anyway.
Yeah, and he's going to be free.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. And those people that thought Jordan Mason was the RB1, sorry, it's probably still going to be Aaron Jones at least for a little while.
100%. Yep.
Jordan Mason thing's not going to happen, in case you were wondering. All right, so we flew through that one. Not a whole lot to talk about there. Another one. It's kind of we can fly through this one as well. Tyler Algier going to the Cardinals. Obviously he was there in Atlanta, stealing carries from Bijan Robinson, much to the screen of all of them. Now he goes to the Cardinals, and I don't know if there's going to be a split carry. I don't know if Trey Benson's shown enough really to get that role, and I don't know the situation with James Conner.
He's hurt. I think he's beat up, man.
Yeah, he's still. I wasn't sure if he was going to come back this healthy or not. Probably not. He's getting a little bit up there in age. But what are your thoughts on this one, Ryan, with Tyler Algier going to the Cardinals?
He's going to be the unsexiest 8 to 12 points you can get in fantasy football every single week, no matter what this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, he's going to get 18 to 22 carries, 3.6 yards a carry, about 80 yards, and probably maybe a touchdown. Like, that's your line. Like 8 points off the yards, 12 if you get a touchdown.
Yep, he'll get there on.
That's gonna be Tyler Algier every single week.
Yep.
And you just plug him and forget about him, right? That flex.
What about you, Chewer? What are your thoughts on Algier? You think you have any higher hopes for him, or you think that Ryan's on point there?
No, I love me some Algier. I loved him out of BYU. I mean, he entered the NFL, 1,000-yard season, and then of course the generational Bijan Robinson steps in front of him. So I mean, no one was thinking, oh, you should definitely give Algier more touches, but he got a pretty big amount of touches during his time playing behind Bijan, and I think it kind of became like once he eventually got his chance to hit the free agency market, I was kind of curious as to where he would go because at a minimum, I know he'd want to get paid, which I think he probably felt, all right, at worst, I can be like one of the best number twos in another tremendous backfield, or I can actually try and lead a backfield. And, it's the new regime in Arizona. Connor, he's brought back, but again, one, it's the injury, and two, he's a bit older. And I know him being a captain and everything, I think a lot of it had to do with his leadership and stuff. So when he's actually back and healthy, who knows? But it's more of an indictment on Trey Benson, in my opinion. With how everything happened last season, Trey Benson just got usurped by anyone not named Trey Benson. Bam Knight, all these guys. And, it's a new group here now, but I think they saw what they saw. And I think that's why they're kind of looking into someone like Algier and saying, hey, I mean, it's not like we view him as like a younger version of James Conner, but he offers a lot of similarities and just a really powerful, dependable. He's not going to turn the ball over. He can take dump offs and stuff, but he's just a really good back. And I like this for him, but like Ryan was saying, it's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be dropping 20 burgers left and right. But if you'd like an RB2 just to slot in, he's your guy.
Yeah.
Arizona is going to be bad. Yeah. Arizona is going to be bad forever. Like you get other players.
Yep. Absolutely.
Sorry, Cardinals fans, if you this.
Sorry, Cardinal fan. It's singular. I think there's only one of them.
Sorry, Cardinal fan.
All right. Getting chiggy with it. The Commanders, I believe this happened today, signed tight end Chig Okonkwo, who's kind of been that guy that every year people are predicting. He's like the Kyle Pitts light. It's like, this is the year he's going to break out. This is the year he's going to break out.
He's Kyle Pitts real light, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
really, real light.
But he's an athletic tight end that he's never really gotten the opportunity. And we don't know if it's because of, the team that he played for, or is it because of something that he's doing wrong? But he's going to the Commanders now, as the number one tight end there, because I don't assume that Zach Ertz is going to be fully healthy with his injury history. But what are your thoughts on Chig Okonkwo going to the Commanders, Chew?
You know what? I mean, I really like it. I thought it was either going to be him or it's going to be Dallas Goedert. I think it's been a little while since having that solid tight end. I know they had Ertz, but I mean, I do think he at least offers a pretty good receiving option there, because I know there are already a lot of the rumors for the draft with their early pick. Do they go Tate? Do they go another receiver there? So I'm not saying they can't at this point. They should still very much consider that. But as they're rebuilding this team in Washington around the future and the franchise quarterback in Jane Daniels, it's a good start. You now have Chig who can work up the seam. He's a real threat there. So if you have him up the seam, you have Terry on the outside, doing the deeper intermediate routes, and it helps. I mean, I don't think it was a crazy deal necessarily either, but at that point, I I didn't really know where else Chig was going to go. I think a lot of the spots were getting filled, and at least gives him a real chance. I mean, he's the number one tight end there. There's no question about it. No offense to John Bates and Ben Sinnott, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was kind of hoping Chig or Isaiah Likely would land with the 49ers to kind of fill in for Kittle while he's going to be out, because he is an athletic guy, and I think he would fit that up well. Of course, neither one of those things happened. But
Why do you hate fantasy football for wanting that? Like, why?
no, that was for my own personal team. Fantasy football would take the back burner on that. But what are your thoughts on Chig going to Commanders, Ryan?
So, I mean, it's a good pick. It's a good move for him. I think if he can't do it there, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Agreed.
Like the touchdowns are the big difference. He's never had that really. It's like 2-3 touchdowns max this season. But he's also been not a great offenses. If they get Cook in, Jaden Daniels is healthy, he could get similar yardage, but 7 touchdowns, and he's a low end tight end one. Like, it's worth a shot. I think his ADP is going to be inflated over what he should be.
Agreed.
But I think he can be a tight end one.
Yeah, I think his ADP is probably I want to spend on him. He's a guy that I was buying last year, super late in the Scott Fish Bowl. And he had some decent games here and there, enough, in a tight end premium league that he actually was okay. But yeah, I think with his move, they're going to expect him to go in there and be, this huge tight end. And I don't know if he's going to be that guy or not. So be a wait and see approach on him. All right, let's get another topic here. Here we go. This is a big one. Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker signing with Kansas City. This one kind of kicked everything off, and then everything just started happening from there. But we've always wanted that running back in Kansas City every year. It's like whoever goes there, he's the next whatever. We had CEH and Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt and all these names, and now we get a legit running back there. Ryan, let's go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts on Walker with the Chiefs?
I really like the match for him. I think he'll do very well. I also don't think it's the Chiefs of old. Like, I don't, and I also, he's not in that Kubiak offense, which caters to a running back in his situation. I think it's kind of lateral fantasy football wise, maybe a little bit high, maybe a few spots higher, but there's still not going to be a ton of passing to the backs for him. And we don't know how much the offense is really getting better because he's coming from the Super Bowl champions and a really good team that was playing with the lead all season. Like, they weren't playing from behind. They weren't in shootouts as much because of that defense. Chiefs lost a lot of their defense. They're in a good conference. I mean, a good division. It's going to be hard. I think he's still low end RB1, high end RB2. And I think he's going to be really consistent there. And we'll have a few really big blow up games with touchdowns, but I don't think it's a huge change for him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is close to being a lateral move for him. Obviously, he'll get probably not vultured as much as he did with Seattle with the running backs they had there. But I think his price is going to be what's going to scare people away. His value is going to go up, or he might be the same player he was in Seattle, but his ADP is going to rise just because it's the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and everyone has this, this still vision of the Tyreek Hills and the, Travis Kelce in his prime, and they're putting up monster points. They aren't that team anymore, though. What are your thoughts on Walker?
Yeah, when I first saw it, one was we've been talking about even last season where it's like, oh, are they going to trade for Breece Hall in season? Are they going to draft somebody? We've been waiting collectively in fantasy for, the running back to go to Kansas City. And it's not a slight to Kenneth Walker. It's more so just I feel pretty confident that I'm not in any redraft league I have. I'm not going to draft him only because I assume someone's going to take him well before I'm comfortable taking him.
Yep.
And I will lose zero sleep with that just because I feel like I have, like you guys were saying, we have an idea of what the actual production is going to be. not just the perceived value of, oh my God, he's on the Chiefs. It's like, well, this isn't the same Chiefs that we've been wanting a running back to go to for a while. Mahomes working his way back. The offensive line, kind of getting fixed there. The defense not as good as it used to be. So it's not the same team it was. And, even for fantasy's sake, like we said, we're used to that, what it was in Seattle. Yeah, but what was it the first, really most of the season, actually? Once Charbonnet went down, it was like, all right, well, we're either going to give it to, Kenny McIntosh or Cam Akers or whoever the hell is still there at that point,
Right.
or we're going to give it to Kenneth Walker. It's going to be Kenneth Walker. And he's got that big home run upside, not tremendous pass catching chops. He could lose that work to Brashard Smith in Kansas City. Kareem Hunt is gone. He might come back.
I bet Kareem Hunt comes back.
I assume he will, yeah, on a very cheap
I
deal.
just assume he's going to be back. Yeah, and he'll take away passing touches.
God, if he takes away red zone work and Brashard Smith takes away pass catching, that'd be infuriating.
Yeah. That's the other thing I was going to say, too, is Andy Reid is kind of renowned for not running the ball as much as he should, even when he's had good running backs. Even when you go back to Philadelphia when they had Brian Westbrook, they were 4th and 1 and they're passing screen passes to receivers instead of just running the ball. And he kind of falls into that trap sometimes, but they forget to run the ball, and that's going to hurt Kenneth Walker, I think, in the long run.
That was one of my first articles for Gun for Two back when I wrote stuff. Was why Andy Reid isn't as you think he is?
Yeah, for sure.
This was like 8 years ago, and it still stands true today.
Yep, I'm old enough to remember the Brian Westbrook years and how frustrating he could be with. He was so electric, and they're like, "Why don't they give him the ball more?" And Andy Reid just wouldn't do it. But yeah. All right, let's get to our next topic on the board here. Should be a lot of heavy hitters now. We've kind of whittled out all the small ones. Another good one here. Steelers signing Michael Pittman to a 3-year, $59 million deal. I'll start with you on this one, Chu. Michael Pittman, leaving the Colts there. He kind of had a little bit of a resurgence last year. He, had that down year 2 years ago, and then had, kind of came back and played really well last year. He's going to the Steelers now, which we assume is going to be Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback. We really don't know for sure yet because he hasn't signed officially. But what are your thoughts on Michael Pittman being there?
Well, it's not a one-for-one comparison, but it almost brings me back to the Panthers of old when it was the Devin Funchess and Kelvin Benjamin. They're just accumulating tall receivers, and what quarterback can possibly mess up throwing to a bunch of 6'5" guys,
right?
Especially DK Metcalf, the athletic freak that he is. I think when the rumblings were that he was going to be out of Indianapolis because of what the cap hit was going to be, especially once we saw what the Alec Pierce deal was, I think it makes enough sense for Pittsburgh in the sense of it's been a perpetual, like they're a wide receiver factory. They have one, good running or wide receiver at any one point, but I feel like it's been looking for, is it going to be Calvin Austin? Is, who is going to be the second one to step up? And it's really just been, all right, well, what tight end are we going to have basically be the wide receiver too? Right. Jonathan Smith is gone now. Pat Freiermuth had been in trade rumors. I don't know what's going to happen with that or not. I think he should stay. I like Pat Freiermuth, but to have two of those guys, you still have Jalen Warren there. Now they have Rico Dowdle. Not a bad offense.
Just no quarterback.
Yeah. So once they figure the quarterback thing out, I assume Aaron Rodgers is going back there on a 1-year deal.
I do too, but
I think he's probably like, I'll wait it out. If you guys don't get anybody, I can still throw. Like,
I'll come after y'all do all your OTAs and all your practices. I don't want to be part of any of that stuff, and then I'll show up, for game one and I'll play.
Go sweat out the bad juju and then show up week one.
Yep, for sure. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on Pittman here in pairing up with DK Metcalf in this offense?
So I like Pittman. I like his touchdown upside. I don't like the consistency for targets, yards, or attempts. I think he'll be a cool basketball play for this year. If somehow they end up with Kyler Murray or that happened in a way, I'd feel completely different, and I'd be all for it. But as of now, I think he's going to have a couple good games, but there's going to be no consistency to it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, they're kind of up in the air, too, on like what they're going to look like as far as the team, because this is the first year in a while that they haven't had, Tomlinson there as the coach. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. So Yeah, interesting to have Pittman there in Steelers with the Steelers and see how that's going to work out with DK Metcalf. Whoever
Great football move though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely for football. If it's a good move for football, maybe not so much for fantasy, but overall, I think it's still a good move. All right, here's the one that we kind of talked about a little bit earlier with Mike Evans signing with the 49ers. This is talking about him, what jersey number he's going to wear. He's always been 13. Of course, Brock Purdy wears 13. He's not getting that number. But let's talk about Mike Evans just in general, going to the 49ers, to be their number one receiver. Ricky Pearsall didn't step into that role last year. So I can't envision a scenario where Mike Evans is not the number one here. I'll go to you first, Ryan, on this. What are your thoughts on Mike Evans here, and how do you think he ends his career with the 49ers?
I think Mike Evans is going to keep doing Mike Evans things until he can't. Like, I'm not betting against him. I think he's going to get 1,000 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns. Like, if he's healthy, he's going to have a connection with Purdy. It's like, you're not going to question that. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to make the right decisions. He is a catch radius machine. And, I mean, way better red zone threat than anything outside of Kittle.
Yeah.
And a way better red zone threat than you guys have had in Purdy's career, maybe?
Definitely in Purdy's career, for sure. Yeah, I can't think of anybody that was a bigger red zone threat, unless you include Debo as a runner as well. But as a just a,
it ain't not Mike Evans though.
Yeah, no,
or
Evans
something like that.
Is a beast. Yeah, and I like what you said too about him being in the right place. That Shanahan offense is a difficult offense to learn, and there's a lot of times where there's interceptions that Purdy throws or near interceptions that Purdy throws that it wasn't Purdy's fault. The receiver made the wrong read, went the wrong direction, and Purdy threw it where he should have been. Where I think Mike Evans is smart enough to know where he needs to be, and he's going to be there when the ball needs to be there. So I do like that comment there about his intelligence.
He's great, man. Like, he's just great at everything.
Agreed. What about you, Chu? What are your thoughts on Mike Evans here?
I really didn't think it was going to happen. Not specifically Niners, but just the fact that he was actually going to leave. I thought it was setting up to be the exact same how it was with he was saying, oh, we want to see what's going to be there in free agency. It was kind of just the ploy to get more money from Tampa. But here we are. He's actually leaving Tampa. And again, I think with the mindset of I would like to get a Super Bowl or at least sincerely compete for one before I'm done. I think he recognizes the mortality of his career as he gets up and closer to the mid 30s rather than the early 30s. And I like it a lot for someone like Purdy, who he's a pretty creative quarterback. He's someone who can move, who can find the open man when things break down, certainly. And I think you can trust if you get Mike Evans on an island. I know he's not young and as spry as he used to be in his 20s, but he's someone who can get enough separation. He's someone who tremendous hands, dependable hands, still tremendously physical. Someone who his game has aged tremendously well. And again, I know the hamstring issues have been more of an issue recently, but the hope is that they either cease or whatever they're doing in San Fran, the nice weather, definitely not the substation causing any issues. So yeah, but I love it for San Fran. They're a team that each year I think they have a legitimate shot to make it all the way, mostly on the heels of Shanahan and what he does with whatever team is left healthy in front of him. Yeah. He's just such a good coach. So I love it for the Niners.
Yeah.
How nice will it be that not have a receiver who's a psychopath as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Will show up and be paid.
Yeah, exactly. That is absolutely sure. All right. We got a couple more topics on the board here. This one we can talk about real quick. Daniel Jones, he gets his 2-year contract. We kind of thought this was going to happen. He wasn't going to be going anywhere, but this offense will look a little bit different. No Michael Pittman anymore. Now I guess they're going to be featuring Alec Pierce a little bit more. Do you think Daniel Jones was legit, Chu? The 10 games he played last year, you think he comes back and does that again?
I do. And I think with the pace that they were on, I think he was the real deal that would have maintained. And once he's healthy, once he's shaken the injury, that he's going to return to the Colts or the top offense in the NFL. But I think what we saw was a dependable play caller under center that the Colts have not had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And, Jones's mobility has always been, again, when healthy, which, again, is the problem of having a mobile quarterback who keeps getting hurt. He battled through whatever those injuries were until they actually stacked up and took him out for the season. But he operated well in the offense, and it looks a little different now because I know they are now without Michael Pittman, kept Alec Pierce. But I do think that last season we saw Josh Downs kind of disappear with Tyler Warren taking over a lot of that work there. And I do wonder what they're going to do in the draft, if they're going to look for another receiver in the first 2, maybe 3 rounds, someone to really compete with that, or if they're going to try and move Downs around a little bit. Obviously still involve Warren. So, I mean, there's plenty of weapons there. Of course, Jonathan Taylor's there. So it seems like a lot of money for a at best above average quarterback who just keeps getting hurt and is, again, it's not going to be ready for week 1, I don't think. But what were they going to do? Like, I guess they kind of were at the point where it's like, all right, are we going to have, is this going to be the thing where we have Sam Darnold and we let him go and then he wins a Super Bowl and we suck now?
Yeah.
So I guess they just kind of thought like, all right, we know what we have. We'll pay for it. We'll wait it out. It'll be fine. So
what happens.
I like it.
Ryan, your thoughts real quick.
Kirk Cousins is smiling somewhere seeing this deal. he walked so Daniel Jones could run. Like, he finessed the shit out of him, but they made the right decision because there's no other options.
Yeah.
And that's a team that can win ball games. They have a solid defense and a ton of weapons on offense. Even without Pittman, that's a really good offense.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And just speaking of Kirk Cousins, I think he has a career after his NFL career is over as an agent. I think he can go be an agent somewhere. Because I think I saw a stat where he was comparing some of the great quarterbacks over the last few years and how much they've made in their career, and then comparing him to Kirk Cousins and his one playoff win, and he's made more money than all of them.
He's like top 5 or 7 all-time earners.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane what he's done. All right, let's get another topic here. All right, Travis Etienne, 4-year deal, $52 million going to the Saints. We can take this both ways. What do you think of Etienne on the Saints, and what happens with Alvin Kamara, Chew?
What are the Saints doing? Again, as a division rival, great job. But for a team that has been basically cap-strapped since Drew Brees hung it up, I do not understand why they keep doing things like this, investing in some of these positions. Love Travis Etienne as a running back. Like, I like that, but they have so many more holes to fill that I just didn't really understand this at all. And again, I'm assuming this means that I think there was a restructure with Kamara too. I was assuming that was setting up that Kamara was going to be dealt in some way. But even with that being the case, because I'm assuming, I don't know if the pick's going to be tremendous. I know he's a bit older, so I don't know what that's going to look like. He might just be released.
Like a 7th.
Yeah, it's not going to be anything that's worthwhile. So if this is their thought of, all right, we're going to reset. We got Travis Etienne. He's going to be part of, it's him and Shuck and Olave and Juwan Johnson, and we're just going to figure, and Devon Vele, where we're going to figure this thing out. I don't know. I like it for the sake of, Travis Etienne gets to be, a lead back once again. That kind of money, you're not going to let that guy do anything less than be the bell cow as much as possible. But just as a team move, I don't understand it at all.
For sure. Especially because didn't they just sign Kamara like maybe 2 years ago, maybe to a pretty big contract? I thought they gave him a lot of money.
Yeah, they'd done I think like a small extension that I think probably also helped in the current year cap wise.
Yeah.
But he might be that word that starts with a W that we don't like to use on players that have been special to us in fantasy. He might be washed.
Yeah. That's very good call, because he could be washed. And, it's kind of hard to see, him being washed because he wasn't really used a lot in the running game. He was more of a pass catcher, but you're right. I mean, he didn't have a great season last year. He is, I think, 31 now, I believe.
Yep.
So way past the, the running back age cliff. And, maybe he is washed. I'm looking at his thing now. It looks like his dead cap hit is still $10 million. So there's not really any chance they're going to cut him. They're probably got to trade him or just eat that, for the season.
Trade him to the Niners.
Saints.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
This is a really bad roster.
Yeah. So you
I
got
think they strung together some wins last year towards the end of the season, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
thought that they're better than they are. I think they don't realize.
Defense is solid.
Shuck proved me wrong. I could not believe with him seeing ghosts when he was playing in college and just playing scared, although he
Yeah.
got hurt a bunch, but like it looks all right. Not
Yeah.
great, but all right. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't like spending money on running back when you don't have it, but at least he's an explosive weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he can catch passes and dump offs, which is the only way they actually used running backs last year.
Yeah,
But he can catch 50 balls there.
for sure.
And I think he's a borderline top 12 in PPR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see why not, especially if Alvin Kamara, is washed. Who else is really there that's going to compete with him?
I'm a little bummed about Devin Neal though, but I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I was kind of on the Devin Neal train as well. I was hoping that it would be Devin Neal this year. It looks like that's not going to happen. All right, a couple more topics here. This one's a little bit of a smaller one, but Rashid Shaheed back with the Seahawks. There was some rumor that they were kind of far away on a contract, but they did get the deal done. We really didn't see a whole lot from Rashid Shaheed on the offensive side of the ball. He was more of an impact player on special teams, but he didn't have a full offseason with this team. You think that helps him at all, this offseason, shoot, that he can get on a page where he's a bigger part of the offense other than just a big play guy?
I think so. I mean, I know he kind of earned his stripes when he was on the Saints with the coach there, but I think that was likely a big reason why they ended up bringing him over to Seattle midseason. And while yes, especially now, the return game is more important than ever. So I don't know how you kind of attribute what amount of that is going to be because of his returning chops, how much of a bonus that got him there. But I think you have JSN, you're comfortable with that. Cup, I know is going to be back. I can't remember they'd had an out if they would have released him. I think basically after the Super Bowl they would have had to release him. So I mean he's going to be there, but after this season I'm not sure he would be. But Rashid Shaheed, I mean I think if he's your number 3 and if he's your one of the top returners in the league, I think that's a good situation for him and for the Seahawks. I know they haven't made a tremendous amount of moves on offense necessarily, and with losing Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet coming back off injury, they need to make some moves there. But hopefully Rashid Shaheed can get on the same page with Sam Darnold and kind of figure it out as a receiver instead of just a returner.
Yeah, for sure. If you play in a league with return yards, like most of my leagues are, it's his value is tremendous, really. So for sure, I like that. Any quick thoughts on Rashid Shaheed, Ryan?
I was going to say that's the only way I'd want him to fantasy at this moment is if it's return yard league.
Yeah, he's tough. And best ball, obviously, best ball is another.
And best ball, yes.
Yeah. All right, let's get another topic here. So yeah, me and Ryan talked about this a little bit before you got on pre-show, Ryan. The Raiders are sending Geno Smith back to the Jets, and I just put that there just because it's such a Jets thing to do, right? I mean, Geno Smith is coming back to where he started. Maybe they saw Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl. Like, we had Geno Smith at one time. Maybe we can bring him back, and maybe he can do a Sam Darnold for our team. But what are your thoughts on here? I'm more worried about like the Garrett Wilsons of the world and the Breece Halls of the world with Geno Smith back there. Does that help them, you think?
Which one of us?
We'll go to Chew.
I'm a Geno fan, and with the horror that he dealt with last year with the Raiders, it's the Jets. So I understand that I don't know if this is a grass is greener type situation necessarily.
The uniform, that's about it.
Yeah, that's definitely greener, and it definitely will be even greener after he gets hit on the ground a bunch. But
yeah,
he at least goes to a better situation. Otherwise, it is the Jets. It is hilarious just considering the circle of life that is Geno Smith's career at this point. If Rex Ryan comes back on the staff, that would really make it incredible. But I think at worst, again, considering his cost too, I think it's probably the biggest thing. He at least helps to, Garrett Wilson is going to get his targets. He's, more or less quarterback proof in the sense of he's going to get enough volume. It's going to be fine. I know John Mechie left for the Carolina Panthers. So they're going to try and, with all of their draft picks and draft capital and stuff, they're going to figure out what they're going to do for weapons for Geno. But at worst, I mean, it's going to be Geno throwing it a boatload to Garrett Wilson. Brees Hall is still there. It's going to be a Jets offense. You're only going to want a piece or two of it. Geno Smith is going to be a QB2 stash on a super flex team that, on a couple of weeks, if you need him, he's going to probably do low teens. Like he's not your QB1 leagues. Don't worry about it. Again, super flex leagues, have him when you need him. But it's, if he flames out here, it's over. But love to see him getting one more shot where it all started.
At least he won't have to sign one of those one-day contract with his former team to retire and be done with it.
That's right.
Ryan, what you got?
Throwing out there, the stat, there's been 18 quarterbacks who started for the Jets since Geno Smith last started. I think it's good. I think it's good for Garrett Wilson. He can feed a wide receiver one. So I'm excited about that portion. The rest, everything Chu said. He's Geno Smith.
Yeah, I think Geno could get there, as far as being QB2 on volume, because the Jets aren't going to be good. They're going to be playing from behind. He's going to throw the ball a million times to try to keep up, and that can get you there in points in a super flex league for sure. All right, let's do some rapid fire. We got 4 topics left here. We talked about that one already, so we got 3 topics left.
Damn, Michael Pittman gets it on here twice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
All right, we'll go to the team that Michael Pittman left and talk about Alec Pierce on a 4-year, $116 million deal. I didn't think that he warranted that size of a deal, but I'm curious to your thoughts, Ryan. What do you think about Alec Pierce here?
I think they chose the right receiver. I think they overpaid, but they could. Similar to a lot of the same things I said about Daniel Jones. I think he's a good red zone threat. I think he went vertically. And is there wide receiver one? Is he a wide receiver one for fantasy? Absolutely not. But I think he'll get enough volume where you can start him in a low end wide receiver too. But holy cow, it's a lot of money for him.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of money there, Chu. What are your thoughts on Alec Pierce and his outlook here?
A lot of money, but I feel like this is every receiver or every year has its one, mostly one receiver that, holy shit, how much did he get? Like, it's just kind of that, I think it was Christian Kirk a couple years ago. Like there's these kinds of guys that it happens to, but I mean, I loved him in Cincinnati. I saw him when I was watching Desmond Ridder, and he was the one that actually popped more so than Ridder. So loved him in college there. Yeah.
All right. So looks like my page refreshed on its own here. So let's hope I can get it back up.
Reset the topics.
All right. Looks like it's going to get the same one that we just got. So we'll remove it and we'll hit it one more time. We got 2 topics left here.
Allegedly.
Wan'Dale Robinson signs a 4-year, $78 million deal. Thoughts on this one, Ryan? What are your thoughts on Wan'Dale Robinson?
I love this for Wan'Dale. I think he had a good year. I think he is a nice fit there for what they're trying to do and get Cam Ward a little bit of get him some weapons. I like this for him. I think he'll do good in the slot and a good safety valve.
Is there what about thoughts on fantasy? You think he's what he was with the Giants, or do you think he's better, worse?
I mean, he finished was a wide receiver 1 last year for the Giants.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a bit of an anomaly. I would say like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range. We had a lot of injured receivers last year.
Yeah, we did.
Let's be honest. We had a lot.
Including his team that gave him all those targets.
Yeah, like I don't think he's that superstar receiver, but I think he's a playable option.
Yeah, agreed. Chu?
Hey, I mean, made a contract year count, and he followed his old coach to Tennessee, somewhere where they actually need. I mean, he's going to be another just PPR nightmare there in Tennessee. So may not replicate that, but I think he's just going to get a boatload of targets.
Yeah, agreed. I think, like Ryan said, he's in that low end receiver 2, high end receiver 3 with some upside each week. So I like that. All right, and our last topic of the night is The Raiders agreeing to terms with Jalen Nail. Let's end this on
Nail in the coffin.
yeah.
Wow, the most exciting player that nobody cares about.
So Naylor, I mean, is he the wide receiver 1 on the Raiders? I mean, is that what we're doing right now?
Trey Turner,
Trey
is it
Tucker, yeah.
Trey Tucker. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty barren receiver group there. But what are your thoughts on Naylor? I know he was a fun player with Minnesota. He was one of those guys that would have a game here to, show some flash a little bit. But the Raiders, give him a 3-year deal here. What are your thoughts on going to you, Chew?
Okay. I do like Naylor. I like just the obscure wide receiver threes. It's a problem for me, but it's kind of funny. It's just to think that Jalen Naylor would get that amount of money. Again, this is reflective of the cap going up and just the fact of this NFL players just get paid a lot of money. But I mean, it's Jack Bash, Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor. Jalen Naylor is now, I think, the de facto 1, and I don't love that part.
Yeah,
But I think considering what the Raiders are, I think they're basically just saying, we should probably fix the O-line. It helped with getting Linderbaum there. I think they're going to address that in the draft too. It's going to be a run heavy. Brock Bowers is going to get the ball, but I like that for Naylor being able to, get a little more volume, and he did a lot with a little last couple of years, I guess too. So, I like this for him, but he's, at best back end wide receiver 3 at absolute best.
yeah, that's even pushing it a little bit. He's probably more receiver 4, even receiver 5 maybe. Any thoughts, Ryan, before we get out of here?
I mean, I'm sad that I have to end the show talking about Jalen Naylor because he doesn't matter in fantasy football.
Yeah, he doesn't matter. You're right. I don't think there's going to.
Let's be real. He doesn't matter. It's Brock Bowers' show.
Yeah, he might be a addition, but that's about it.
Yeah.
If they can get rid of Max Crosby, they can draft a receiver. But it's the Brock Bowers show.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that wraps up our show tonight. We'll go around the room as we usually do, and I don't know what just happened. I think I lost y'all. Hold on. Brief hold right quick while I find you. There we go. All right. I lost the screen there for a second. All right. Let's go around the room real quick. Give us your Twitter handle and anything that you might be working on currently. We'll go to you first, Ryan.
Find me here Wednesdays. Find me over the Rookie Big Board. Find me on Twitter, Foss534. Suck it, Raiders fans. Have a great night.
Love it. What about you, Chew?
Find me on Twitter at Father Dynasty, and check out fatherdynasty.com or Faux Football Substack. That's all the same. And go Jalen Naylor.
Love it. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I want to plug me and my daughter's show. We did an episode last night of I Am No Jedi podcast talking Star Wars. So if you're a Star Wars fan, you like that kind of content, me and her put an episode out every couple weeks or so. So we did one last night talking about the new movie dropping, Grogu, Mandalorian and Grogu. So check it out. It's over at YouTube at I Am No Jedi podcast. And then, of course, we'll be here every Wednesday doing rookie profiles for a little while until we get full on into draft season. We'll do some mock drafts and that kind of stuff. So be on the lookout for that as well. For Ryan, for Chew, I'm Jeff, and we will see y'all next week.